Welcome back, Endgame. We're wrapping up another week of fantasy baseball and also, more importantly, getting you ready for the upcoming week of fantasy baseball because hopefully your matchups are already decided. Hopefully you've already crushed your opponent and you can just sit back today and relax and enjoy your Sunday. But if not, we can help you with that too. But Pierre, we're here to talk about the week ahead and what's been going on. We got to start with somebody. I'm pretty sure you put him. Did you put him on? I think it was either the waiver wire or the beat the breakout. Luis Matos of the Giants, who just has a little 5-game hitting streak going on, and all he's done is hit 2 home runs in those 5 games. And am I reading this right? Is this? I think this might be a typo. This doesn't seem right. In those 5 games, he has 16 RBIs, and he has 11 RBIs the last 2 games. So. Is this just like if he's out there, you have to go get him? If he's find somebody on your roster, drop him and go get Matos, or is this just like, hey, he's hot right now, he's gonna cool off? What are we doing here?
Yeah, it sounds pretty appropriate now. Put him on beat the breakout. Now, usually that video is reserved for actual prospects and rookies, but Matos and Soderstrom, 2 players I mentioned because even though they are not technically rookies anymore, exceeded that threshold last year, Matos didn't really do enough to make you feel like, he was a veteran at this point. And wasn't on the squad early on, caught the call because out of necessity. So, yeah, Matos, we didn't really see it last year. And this is, I guess I could have made it a post-hype breakout, beat the post-hype breakout. Didn't get a lot of hype, but yeah, after last year, people are just like, whatever, move on. This guy still has obviously a ton of talent. One of the Giants' top prospects, still super young. I think just 22 years old. And so that's the type of player you want to take a chance on. And guess what? If you took a chance on him, you're doing cartwheels right now or backflips or whatever you're physically capable of doing because, yeah, he's hot. I picked him up. I feel now I should have picked him up in all leagues, but I picked him up in one league right away. And then I just picked him up in another league. Why would you not pick him up at this point? He just had a week's worth, actually more like 2 weeks worth of fantasy stats in 2 days. 11 RBIs is pretty insane. And then, like you said, since he's been called up, this is nothing but rake. Now, will he cool down? Of course, but this is a very good hitter, a top prospect. He does have a tremendous ceiling. Not in terms of power alone per se. He's not a slugger. And so that's why you'll see, home runs. I think he's doing about what you might expect, a couple home runs, but not going for 40 jacks. But hey, if he's going to score and drive in runs like this, absolutely. This is what the Giants needed. This is exactly what I said. The Giants needed this. And it's kind of disappointing that they only did this because out of necessity, because Jung-Hoo Lee is on the 60 IL and everybody else got hurt. But yeah, if Matos is out there, I mean, what are you waiting for? Maybe have another 5 RBI day?
Well, that's not that we want to jump into the questions already because we still got more to talk about, but this is an appropriate question because we are talking about Matos. If these guys, if you're staring at Matos, Joe Adell, or Lance Nootbaar, are you still going Matos? I think Nootbaar you probably have last out of these guys, but are you going Adell over Matos, or are you going Matos over Adell?
Yeah, I'm a Joe Adell fan, but I'm going Matos because you're saying this is the points league. In points leagues, I like Matos a little bit better. Joe Adell has definitely cut down his strikeout rate. But one thing also you should know that Matos is more likely to hit higher in the order. Adell, as well as he's been playing, he's been now settling down more like 6th in the lineup on most days. I'm not sure where he's hitting today. I have to check it out. But I think Matos is going to help you out a little bit more with those counting stats. Last year, they had him hit leadoff a whole lot. Now, with the way he's hitting so far this year in terms of power, I mean, I don't know where he's going to wind up settling in. But yeah, I am still going to go Matos. I'm trying to overreact to, just 1 week. But like I said, usually when a guy is this hot, this quick, he will carry it over for the most part. And it's not like we can say there's a big difference between these lineups, the Giants and the Angels. So I'm going to go Matos, then Adell. I think it's close, though. And then Nootbaar's third.
Nootbaar's third. Okay. So we're on the Matos train. What about this train? Are we on the Luis Gil train? He just coming off a 6-inning, 14 strikeout performance where he only gave up 1 earned run, 5 hits, and 1 walk. But that was the White Sox. But over his last 4 games, he's got a quality start in all 4 games. He's gone at least 6 innings in all 4 games, and he gave up 0 earned runs to Baltimore and only 1 earned run to the Astros. So are we all in on Gil as well?
Again, I think at this point you have to be. And Gil is not a player I will say I was high on preseason, early season. I thought kind of what we saw the first couple of starts is what you were going to get. Now, obviously, nobody thought that he was going to, have a 14K game, but still, you got to look now at the season-long stats. It is legit on every front, and he's thrown 9 starts now. He's up there, with most of the league leaders in terms of innings pitched and everything else, right? 2.39 ERA, 1.08 WHIP, but his expected ERA is right up there, 83rd percentile. His expected batting average, 188. That's 91st percentile. He is legitimately earning everything that he's getting. The K rate, of course, is great, especially now. Now, the walks are a little bit high. That's the only issue. He's walking a few too many batters, but when everything else is this good, then it's okay. He's not getting hit hard at any point, really. A hard hit rate is great. Only giving up 3 home runs. So, yeah, there's still a possibility he might get himself into trouble one of these days where he does walk a couple too many guys in the same inning. Maybe he does give up a hard hit or a home run or something. That'll happen. But again, when this is just a blip on otherwise, really great resume, I think at this point I have to buy into him. So he's a young pitcher. He's got great heat. He can not only throw the ball by some hitters, but his off-speed stuff is actually playing up really well. So I might be a little late on this train, but I'm going to say, yeah, if Luis Gil is out there, I think you have to buy into him.
All right, there you go. I think he's rostered in about 70-something% of Yahoo leagues, so may not be out there, but if you got him, you should be feeling good. And should you actually be feeling good if you have Marlins offensive players? 18 runs over the last 2 days. My boy Jazz Chisholm with a nice 3-for-5 home run, 3 RBI, 3 runs scored game last night. Happy to see that. And we know for some reason on Sundays he always plays well, so I'm expecting another big game from Jazz today. Look, we've seen other offenses, that we think have been bad get hot, like the Athletics, the Twins. Are we buying into this, or are they just hot right now and we're going to see the Marlins? Because this is also a team that, like myself personally, I've been streaming pitching against when I can. So is this a team that is this the Marlins we should expect rest of the season, or are they just hot right now?
Well, first, let me just say, remember last week we talked about that trade. You're having to get Julio off your team, and you got Jazz. Look, Julio's got, I think, like a 6-game hit streak, but like you said, it's like a bunch of singles. It's like There's no counting stats here, no RBIs, no home runs. So right now,
I'll say this:
I think you might be ahead in this trade.
I wasn't going to say anything about it, but since you brought it up, in less than a week, I've gotten 3 home runs combined from Josh Lowe and Jazz Chisholm. I got 2 home runs all year from Julio. I'm already fine with this trade. I don't even care. Like, I already feel good about this trade.
There you go. See? So you're happy there. We'll see how it turns out. Jazz, I already said this. I remember a week ago, we had people asking about Jazz, like, oh, is it time to move on? Should I be worried? I'm like, what? Worried about what? Like, what are you expecting him to do? I mean, this isn't, like Julio Rodriguez, I get it. If he was like your number 3 draft pick, yeah, you should be worried. Jazz is doing pretty much what you should expect. If you think he's going to hit 300, then you probably are looking at the wrong guy, because that's not what he does. But he'll get you home runs and steals. He'll score a good amount of runs, driving runs. I mean, he's having a pretty solid season overall. Just doesn't feel like it because he's on the last place team. Will the Marlins keep this up? Of course not. I mean, come on. It's the Marlins. This is a bad team having a good weekend. It's like we've won 4 in a row. All right, now we're only 17 games under 500. It's like, okay. The offense should have been doing better than it has been, obviously underachieving. like it's nice that you have someone like Josh Bell actually deciding to wake up and do something, because he's the cleanup hitter there. He's hitting a little bit better, but he's going to have a little nice hot streak here, and then he'll go back to being, just kind of average. It's nice to see that the Marlins, who are getting a chance to play, are producing, and that Skip Schumacher kind of being a lame duck coach here, which is a whole nother thing, but he's just trying to play the guys who want to play and want to win, right? And so Otto Lopez making the most of his time. Deep league, let's not go crazy, but he's performing. Not a great prospect, but deep leagues, NL only, maybe you can take a chance on him. Vidal Brujan, I'm kind of waiting. He's a guy who does have talent. I'm waiting to see if he actually starts stealing bases. Because that's what his calling card is. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's just it's a good weekend. It's nice to beat the Mets. Always feels good to beat the Mets. Jake Berger, I think, will come around. I think he's still a good pickup in some places. But yeah, at the very least, we can be happy for one weekend. That's why I put the hat back up here for one day of Marlins pride.
There you go. I was going to ask about Jake Berger because somehow he's not on this train right now. He's got 5 hits over his last 10 games. So I don't know. Hopefully he'll wake up at some point here.
Yeah. We'll see. I think you can still stash him, or at least keep him on the watch list, because I think he will come around pretty soon.
All right. Hopefully soon. All right, but we're here to not just to talk about, baseball and the Marlins. We're here to also answer your questions. So before we get to that, let me remind you, as I always do, if you haven't tried Underdog Fantasy yet, this is the perfect time. You can get, we're streaming a lot earlier today because Pierre is going to the UFL game. That's the United Football League. I think it's United. I don't know what the U stands for. So we're streaming earlier. So you got plenty of time to get your picks in. I mean, you got almost every game today still available for you. Go to Underdog Fantasy. Make sure when you go, you do join and you use promo code Endgame when you sign up, because that's going to get you access not only to a special free pick. Basically, you get a free win, but also up to $250 in bonus cash. You can see it scrolling right there. So if you haven't tried Underdog Fantasy yet, this is the time to do it. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com. Make sure when you join, like I said, you do use promo code Endgame to take advantage of that free pick and the bonus cash. Now, we are on a bit of a time crunch because, again, he is going to the game today. So we will try to get to as many questions as we can, as I always say. If you want to jump to the front of the line, or you want to just guarantee your question gets answered, you can always drop that super chat. Or if you just want to say thank you for the hard work, you can also drop a super chat for that. You don't have to. We're not going to only answer super chats. We'll get to other questions, but just a way, if you're impatient like me and you don't like waiting, it's a way you can just, skip the line, so to speak. All right. Cerulean Dog, what's up? Is always with us during football. Now he's with us during baseball. Connor Wong or Tyler Stevenson? So would you add Connor Wong or Tyler Stevenson and drop Ohapi or Heim?
Yeah, what is up, Dog, by the way? Always on the football stream. Glad to see you on baseball too again. Yeah, Connor Wong is still hitting. At some point that batting average is going to drop, but he's been playing more often than not. I'll just say this: between Wong and Stevenson, I'll go Wong, and then Ohapi or Heim. Ohapi is a guy. In fact, just the other day, I was watching a bit of the Angels game. I actually got to watch him strike out. I was looking into him and was like, man, what's going on? He's not hitting bad. The average is okay, but the power hasn't been there. That's what you expect from him, right? Just give me some home runs, and it hasn't come around yet. Some of the Angels have been nice surprises lately. Ever since everything fell apart with Trout and Rendon and everybody getting hurt. But Ohapi hasn't come around. So I'd say you can do this. You need offense now. There's no guarantee, right? I mean, I liked Ohapi preseason. You know that. He was one of my favorite sleepers at catcher. He had a great end to last season. It doesn't guarantee that he's going to have a good season this year. It's there's a good chance, but it's not happening. It's not happening. Do this. I think I would hold Heim. Now, I don't know if you're asking because you have both of those guys. So if you do, I'd say I'd go Wong for Ohapi.
All right. There you go. Thank you, Dog. Appreciate it. Good seeing you. All right, Rafael Juarez has a couple of questions. First one, he needs more runs scored and RBIs. It's a 10-team category league. Would you drop Pajas to add either Joey Ortiz or Brian De La Cruz?
Great question. All right. So, Rafael, let's say you're in a 10-team league, you can be more aggressive as far as the waiver wire. You don't have to hold on to players as long. Yeah, Andy Pajas has definitely cooled off big time. If this is not a keeper league, I think you need to move on from him. I'm actually considering moving on from him in our league. I haven't done it yet, but yeah, pretty soon I might. I'm adding Joey Ortiz if I can, but I would probably do De La Cruz first because here's the thing. You're looking for runs scored specifically. This is where lineup position matters more, right? You need a guy who's going to get more at-bats, get to the top of that order, and have a chance to be driven in. So Ortiz is playing well, but if I'm correct, I think most days he's hitting like 7th or 8th. Milwaukee's been really hot lately as an offense, but De La Cruz is firmly right there, hitting 3rd. And Marlins are, at least for 48 hours, a hot team. So I would go De La Cruz right now because he's getting the RBIs. He will have a chance to score some runs. And it's always nice to have a power hitter because he can drive himself in, right? If he hits a home run. And Pajas has that power, but I don't even remember. In fact, I'm curious now and I'm thinking about it. I got to look up when's the last time that Pajas went deep. Feels like it's been forever. Yeah, wow. May the 4th. May the 4th was the last time that Pajas hit a home run. It's been over 2 weeks. So, yeah, I think you can do this. Move on. You can drop him, and I would add De La Cruz.
All right, I think he has a trade question, which is funny because I have both these guys in our league. Would you trade Goldschmidt and Gaussman, who somehow pitched great for 5 2/3 innings yesterday, just needed to get one more out to have a scoreless quality start, and then ended up giving up 3 runs, but somehow they left him in there to still get the quality start, thank goodness, but he gave up 3 runs. And anyways, another relatively disappointing Gaussman performance, I guess, and Goldschmidt's still been disappointing. So would you trade both these guys if you could to upgrade at first base for somebody like Freddie Freeman or Matt Olson? And would this even be enough for those guys?
I will say, we talked about Goldschmidt just a week ago. He started to pick it up. He hit a home run. He started to pick it up. But still, I mean, you get Freddie Freeman, you're upgrading massively here. Gaussman, I think I said this, and I know you specifically are tired of hearing about it. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I think he still will be fine, but I mean, I think if you can get Freddie Freeman, a true stud, right, should be helping you everywhere. I can't say no to that. I think it's a 10-team league. Again, be more aggressive. Gaussman should be still really good rest of the season, but it's a little easier to replace a player like this in a 10-team league, right? You got more chances that a guy like maybe Luis Gill is on the waivers in this league, right? Because it's a 10-teamer. So, yeah, I think you can do it, but I would do it for Freeman, not for Olsen.
All right, there you go. Good luck. Let me know if you make that trade. Let me know next week. I might try that too. I don't need Gaussman. My streamers are giving me just as much production as Gaussman. Like just.
It's true.
All right, Harry Grossman also has a trade question. Friday he traded Jason Foley and Josh Smith for Edwin Diaz. He's starting to have some regrets after last night. What happened? What happened last night? What did Edwin? Should he have regrets? So last night, let's see, 1/3 of an inning pitch, 4 hits, 4 runs, all earned. Gave up a home run. Should he have regrets?
That's a perfect segue to tomorrow's video because guess what? On Monday, the panic video drops. You can already tell you who's the number 1 player. We're going to talk about Edwin Diaz. And it's funny, you may remember this a week ago. Somebody asked about Edwin Diaz, and I was like, yeah, I might be worried about him. Let's see if he has another bad outing. Okay, so are you regretting this? No, I'm not going to regret this. Look, every closer has a rough patch, right? He's not going to shut down the side and order every single time out, right? Nobody's posting the ERA of 0.00 by the season's end. is there a reason to worry about Edwin Diaz specifically? In other words, is there something physical going on, an injury that's holding him back? Is there something that makes us think like, okay, this is it. We're going to see Edwin Diaz, blow up now. Not that I know of. I mean, maybe there's something going on, but as far as I know, I think he's just going through a rough patch. He ran into a red hot Marlins team. But no, I don't think you'll regret this. Josh Smith to me is just like a throw-in. I'm really not worried about Josh Smith. And then Jason Foley, he's been good, but I think I'd still rather have Diaz. So I know you're regretting it right now, Harry, but I don't think you'll regret this by the time the season's over.
All right. We'll see how it goes. Oops, no, we did that one. Okay, Brenda Jones, another Matos question. Matos or Soler?
Now, I'm going to say easily Matos here, but Kevin, this isn't just because what he's done the last 2 weeks. I was not big on Soler preseason, and his numbers have been basically what I've expected. This is somebody who's been way up and down, up and down. He has a big season. He has a down season. He's due for a down season, but also he's not in a great hitting environment. For a power hitter to be in the worst power hitting park, it's not a good match. I mean, if he had signed somewhere else, then I would have felt a little differently about him. But still, Soler's a guy I'm always kind of wary of, and going to San Francisco, not a good fit. Honestly, I'm just waiting for them to bump him down in the order to like 6th where he should be, and to put Matos back at leadoff. I'm going to go Matos.
All right. Thank you, Brenda, for the question. Just G. He or she is in need of pitching, and he or she has a guy interested in Julio Rodriguez. Is Dylan Cease and Matos enough for you to give up slap hitting Julio Rodriguez?
Yeah.
I saw a funny comment because I like to read the Yahoo comments on the players. And somebody said I drafted Luis Arias with the top 5 pick this year. Like, hey, yeah, you did.
It hasn't been that bad. At least he's still on bases. It's actually crazy but true is, like you were saying, just in the last not even 2 weeks, Luis Matos' power numbers are better than Julio Rodriguez on the entire season. They have 2 home runs each, and Matos has more RBIs just in like 1 week. That's insane.
Is this correct? Somebody said Julio Rodriguez does not even have 10 extra base hits yet.
Does that have an extra base hit when? In May?
Does not have 10 extra base hits all year.
Oh, 10 extra base hits all year? That might be true. I mean,
that's insane.
I don't know exactly how many doubles he's got, but yeah. Look, here's the thing is what I said with Julio is his exit velocity and his hard hit rate are all still pretty good. I mean, it's sort of a launch angle issue. It's also just hasn't quite picked it up. I'm not that worried about Julio. I know it's easy for me to say, but this is an interesting trade, though, because a lot of it, you're speculating on what is Matos doing rest of the season, right? Obviously, he's not going to be last year's Julio Rodriguez this year. He's not that kind of hitter, right? He's not going to go for, I don't think, 30-plus home runs. But Cease and Matos, this gets interesting because Dylan Cease is an ace, right? And an ace is super valuable. So you have an ace for a guy who should be a fancy stud but hasn't been a stud. And then Matos, does that offset it? It might. This is really tricky. Because I would say if you need the pitching, if this gives you say you're needing pitching, so this might help you. I think this might be a fair trade both ways. Look, if J-Rod has a huge second half like last year, you'd be like, oh, I'm going to regret this. But if Dylan Cease keeps doing what he's doing, you're really not going to regret this. If Luis Matos is at least a startable outfielder the rest of the season, this might actually wind up being good for both sides. So I know this feels like you're kind of selling low on Julio and buying high on Matos and the other guys, but I think this actually is a fair trade. If you're needing pitching, I think I would do this.
All right, there you go. And I did just confirm Julio Rodriguez on the season, 5 doubles, no triples, 2 home runs, 7 extra base hits on the entire season so far. Ouch.
That's
all right.
only get better.
JRR tokens. Back to the question we had earlier. He cannot believe we ranked StatCast King, Lars Nootbaar, number 3. Now his StatCast data is off the charts. Let's take a look. Let's pull it up here. Yes, his StatCast data absolutely like red. His actual numbers not off the charts yet. So,
well,
do you want to explain why you have Nootbaar at number 3?
Yeah, look, I'm not anti-Nootbaar. I think he's a good hitter. He's more of a power hitter. Look, I'll say this: his plate discipline is pretty good overall. If you change that to last year's numbers, his 2023 percentile rankings, where he played, a lot more as far as at bats and sample size, it's not all red. It's still good in terms of his K and BB rate, so that's good for points leagues. But I don't think it's fair to say Matos is a slap hitter. He's definitely not a slap hitter. He's not like Luis Arias 2.0. He's a good hitter. And no, he's not a power hitter. But I feel like his batting average will be better than Nootbaar's. And I think in a roto league, I think it's closer. It's fair to say, Nootbaar might come up with decent counting stats, but man, I know the Giants offense, I keep saying it's just like whatever until Matos came along. What about the Cardinals offense? I mean, come on. Let's talk team context here. Cardinals, the last time I checked, which was yesterday, they were the second lowest in terms of home runs on the season and one of the lowest in terms of overall runs scored. I don't think that's changed drastically, but I can tell you this. You want a guy who's at least in a decent offense, and Cardinals have been one of the worst offenses just in the majors. I just don't see that turning around big time. Okay, right now, I'm sorry. They passed Washington. 4th fewest runs scored on the season. That's the Cardinals. So,
yeah, definitely bad offense. All right, we got a super chat from JK. Thank you. Lost Reese Hoskins and Muncy. Okay, looking to add some power. He wants power. Who we got? Who's out there that has power?
All right. Again, let's state the obvious. If Luis Matos is out there, you can pick him up. I know he's not a power hitter, but he also is not a slap hitter. So, who's available in your league is the big question. Depends how deep your league is. Look, I'm still gonna say, if a guy's hot, just roll with him until he's not. And Kevin Pillar, I know he hasn't played. He didn't start yesterday and he's not starting today, which again is inexplicable considering like what are your other options? We really have to start Mickey Moniak every other day. Go with Pillar while he's hot. Go with a hot hand here. Joey Ortiz is somebody we already mentioned. He's not really a power hitter, but he's hitting 4 power lately. He does have some pop. Guys that are like actually available on your waivers. Who else that I haven't talked about lately? I'm trying to think. Let's see. You're a good boy. Gonna try to look at, I don't know offhand anybody I'd say like a power source. I mean, usually power hitters get scooped up first. You know what I mean? Because that's what draws attention. Luke Raley is kind of interesting. I know I mentioned him on last week's waiver wire. So he's somebody that you could look to. Connor Joe is not really a power hitter. One player I didn't mention on the waiver wire, I do have in a couple leagues, Brenton Doyle of Colorado. He can get you some power and he can get you some steals. And he's pretty widely available. So I would say that you could go for a guy like Doyle. Not a massive power ceiling, but he'll get you the occasional home run. I mean, no one's going to get you Muncy-like home run totals, but I think Doyle might be a good option.
All right, there you go, JK. Thank you. There's some options for you. Good luck there. Brian, we did talk about this a little bit. Can he give up on Andy Pajas?
I think you can, because not just that he's gone cold, the power is dried up, but also Jason Hayward now back off the IL. That's going to cut into his playing time. So it honestly wouldn't surprise me if he gets optioned down pretty soon. So I do think right now you can drop him if you need to.
All right, then James Coffey, what's up? Just wanted to say you're batting 1,000 this week with your videos. He picked up JD Martinez for free off the waivers. That's pretty nice. That's pretty nice.
Look,
and now it's time for our weekly Gleyber Torres question. Are you ready for our weekly Gleyber Torres question?
It was just a matter of when, not if, right?
Yes. Are you dropping him for Davis Schneider or Otto Lopez in a 20-team points league? 20-teamer. That's legit.
No, I'm not. Like, Gleyber has shown some signs of life. He did hit a home run the other day. Man, 20-team league, I know that's deep, and we're getting to like Otto Lopez types. I can't say there's any way Otto Lopez outproduces Gleyber Torres rest of the season. So no, I'm gonna just reluctantly keep him on there. Just call me overly optimistic or whatever.
All right, we'll see you next week for the follow-up Gleyber Torres question.
Yeah,
it's our weekly. Another Matos. I think you. No, yeah. No, I don't think he was in this. Okay, Matos or Brian De La Cruz rest of the season. Storm wants to know.
That's a good question. It's pretty close. I think you're talking similar team context in terms of both are guys that are going to be out there every day, pretty much going forward at the outfield spot. Both incredibly bad hitters parks at home. So there's no change in team context. Both are on not too great teams. Very similar in terms of context here. I'm gonna say I do prefer Matos's upside a little bit more for counting stats, runs, and RBIs. I think De La Cruz, I'm pretty sure, will get you more home runs. So if you're looking for home runs and RBIs, I would prefer De La Cruz. If you're looking for average and maybe runs scored, go Matos. Neither guy is going to really steal bases. So this might be a situation where you look at your standings, you look at what your team needs. What do you need more, the power or the average? But I mean, this is almost a toss-up. I like both guys equally. I do think, again, this is not recency bias. This is just purely looking at these individual players and their projected upside. I think Matos does have a higher ceiling.
All right, there you go. Thank you for that, Storm. All right, I do want to circle back to G here because we did do his original question. What if it's just Dylan C straight up for Julio? He really needs pitching. He or she really needs pitching. Is Cease enough straight up for Julio?
I mean, I'd like to get another piece back. So no, I do feel like you should be able to get more because, again, Julio hasn't been that bad. He's not hitting like 198. He's hasn't been that bad. It's just we're waiting for the power. I think you should be able to get at least something back, some sort of a high upside outfielder, a young player, something like that.
All right, try to get something back. All right, TM, head-to-head points redraft. Is it time to move on from Michael Busch? He's got Jake Berger, Freeman, but not Freddie, unfortunately. Kevin Newman. Are you moving on? Are you moving on from Michael Busch if you have these guys?
Well, no. I mean, if you have Berger, that's fine. Wait till he starts hitting. Freeman is just a utility guy, right? He's having a nice week, but yeah. Newman, I did mention Newman's having a hot week. Newman is a streamer. Newman is a guy that you can put in there until he cools off, and then you can just drop him and forget about him. So no, I'm not gonna move on from Busch for those guys. I think pretty soon you'll be dropping Newman, and Freeman's just kind of like a bench stash. Well, I would like to say that for third base, I mean, obviously Kobe Mayo, but I heard he just got injured and not sure how long it's going to be till he comes back. So that's going to definitely put a hurting on his upside. Third base eligible prospect. like if you're talking about somebody that's going to come up really soon, Aurelvis Martinez, I would hope, but we'll see. So that's the one guy I would think that might be imminent. But that's all I can think of right now.
All right. Thank you, TM again. All right, Dev Brew. Corbin Carroll and Edwin Diaz, or Michael Harris and Jordan Romano. So 2 closers who don't get saves.
This is Dynasty.
Oh, yeah, it's Dynasty, though. It's Dynasty,
wow.
So it does change things.
Okay. In Dynasty, I'm going to have to go with the Carroll Diaz side. Closers are closers. I mean, I'd prefer Diaz, but again, that's not the real focal point of this deal. This is Dynasty. Who do you like better, Carroll or Harris? I'm still going to go Carroll.
All right. And then Teddy J. Luzardo just got dropped. Should he drop Elder or Crochet for him?
Yes. Drop Elder, pick up Luzardo. Luzardo is not always going to be great. All right. He's going to have some bad games here and there, just like most pitchers, but he'll get you Ks. Look, he is a strong candidate to get moved at the deadline. Might upgrade to a team like the Braves, to replace Bryce Elder. So, yeah, you pick up Luzardo, take what you get from him. Elder is solid for the most part, but he does not get you Ks. Yeah, I would do that. Keep Crochet, drop Elder, pick up Luzardo.
All right, go get him. TM again. Should he drop Kimbrel and Mason Miller, who hasn't had a save since April 30th, in a head-to-head points redraft league for Sewald, McGill, or Bednar?
Do not drop Mason Miller. Saves come and go, I know, but Miller's he's just been great. I mean, he just helps you because he's so good. Kimbrel is tough. Kimbrel is a tougher situation because he hasn't been that good lately, and then he lost his job. Will he get it back? And will he be the guy the rest of the season? I don't know. There's no guarantee there. Sewald, I think, is going to be solid. Obviously he's back. I think I might feel better about Sewald. Bednar has been rough this year, obviously, but Bednar is also one I wouldn't be shocked gets dealt, and he might not be the closer second half of the year. And McGill, I mean, come on. I'm not going to drop a known closer for somebody who's like just, flavor of the week for a Milwaukee team. I'll say you can drop Kimbrel and you can add Sewald.
All right, there you go. And Teddy J dropping the super chat. Thank you so much. Let's keep up the great work. Prayers.
Teddy.
Luzardo does get traded. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think you have to pray too hard. There are going to be a lot of Marlins moving at the deadline, I have a feeling.
A lot of people speculating that Jazz Chisholm is going to get traded. Do you think Jazz is getting traded?
I think he's the only one that they consider kind of probably not even untradeable because probably nobody's untouchable on that team. But I think they would probably ask for too much and not get it because a team's not going to invest that much to get a guy like Jazz. And I mean, he is, for whatever that's worth, the face of the franchise, sort of. And, they've alienated enough fans, like whatever fans are left. Yeah. So I think all the pitchers are getting traded, though. Pretty much all the pitchers except for Yuri, because nobody's going to trade for a guy coming off Tommy John.
Yeah. All right, Derek, again, is it time to move on from Zach Eflin in a points league? It doesn't think I'll be able to get anything from him trade-wise, but it doesn't look like we're going to see last year's Zach Eflin. Are you okay dropping him?
Eflin is tough, man. I look and I'm like, I continue to be disappointed. Like Eflin is like, hey, it just feels like he's never that great. And then I look at his stats and like, they're not that bad either. It's like he's not really having a bad season. He's just not having a great season. He's just kind of there. Like he's worth having, but you're not really excited that you have him. I mean, his ERA is barely over 4. Okay. His whip is okay. Strikeouts are not great. So he's not been terrible, but just very underwhelming. So in a points league, yeah, I think you can move on from him. I don't think doesn't look like he's reverting to last year's second half form.
All right. Jason, I assume this is for next week, and he's looking for pitchers to start. Michael King, who is like a box of chocolates. You literally never know what you're going to get. I benched him against the Dodgers, and he threw 11 strikeouts, didn't give up a run. And then I started him against some terrible team, and he got lit up. Like, what? So I guess Michael King, you just leave him in there, and you just like, oh, please be a good one today. Or Gavin Stone, who gets Arizona and Cincy. It's a head-to-head league. I don't know why you can't start both. I don't know how your league works, but if you only could start one of them, I guess, which of these two starters are you taking?
Well, you know me, I'm going to go for the chocolates. I'm going to go Michael King. Look, both these teams, both these guys get Cincinnati. That's a nice matchup for both. King getting his former team with the Yankees. Is that going to be good or bad? Who knows? I think he'll be fired up. I like King in general better. Got that K upside. And both these teams have a good chance to get you wins. So I'm going to lean King in this choice.
Yeah, so I'm looking. So 7 innings, 11 strikeouts, no earned runs, a .71 whip against the Dodgers. And then at home against the mighty Rockies bats, the Rocky bats that don't do anything on the road. I don't know, 6 earned runs, almost a 2 whip. Like, what is it? What? And of course, I didn't start him against the Dodgers, and I started him against the Rockies. So shows you my fantasy baseball skills. All right, James Coffey wants to obtain Zach Wheeler. Would you give up 2 of the following starting pitchers for Zach Wheeler? Jack Flaherty, who's been unreal this year. Jared Jones, who's also been unreal. Grayson Rodriguez, who I think is still injured but has been good. Sonny Gray or Paul Skeens. Oh, Paul Skeens. How about Paul Skeens' second start, by the way? Looks like the real deal. So would you give up 2 of these guys to get Zach Wheeler, or would you just sit tight with the pitchers you have? That's quite a pitching staff.
I was going to say, you got some good pitchers there. I mean, you don't need Wheeler. Flaherty would be the one I would most be tempted to dangle out, but am I going to pair him up with another one of those pitchers to get 2 for 1? I don't think that's helping you. I think if you're trading 2 of those pitchers, you should be getting. I mean, I don't even know. I can't think of a single pitcher I would really say I would want. Maybe Shota Imanaga, I guess. No, I wouldn't do this. I like your staff. I'm still big on Grayson. Sonny Gray has been great. I figured he would be good in St. Louis this year. Skeens and Jones, I mean, they could only get better. So, no, I don't think I would do that.
Yeah, your pitching staff looks great.
Yeah.
All right. Chad says, what's our confidence level in Vinny P for points leagues for rest of the season?
On a scale of 1 to 10, give him about a 7. I like Vinny P in general. I like him a little bit better in a points league. He's been solid, not great. Start out ice cold, then got red hot. But yeah, exactly. He's just been a little underwhelming in terms of production, right? You feel like he should be doing better, but he's not putting up great numbers. So I think he'll be fine. 231 is not what you expected, right? But yeah, I mean, I think he's startable, but he's not a must start right now.
Another StatCast hero.
Yeah,
need to play. So does it always, like, do they usually end up converging on the StatCast, or is there some years where it's like the StatCast said they should have been way better and they just weren't?
I mean, the farther we get into the season, the more closely that you start to resemble it. But again, at this point, you're like, okay, the StatCast says he should be doing this, but a week or 2 from now, that's going to change, right? So it eventually kind of evens out, but there are certain players that are able to not just outperform, but continually outperform their expected stats and vice versa. So I would say I do mostly buy into it. I mean, it's not a guarantee. If you look at Vinny P specifically, like, okay, his expected batting average 276. He's hitting 231. Is it realistic to expect that he can hit 276? Yeah, I mean, definitely. That's what you would think he would be hitting, right? 276. So I buy into that. the strikeout rate is great. That's the most important thing I look at is always the plate discipline, right? His strikeout and walk rates really good. So the eye is there, he's making fairly good contact with a hard hit rate. Here's the real issue. If you look at it, is that sweet spot rate is really low. He's just not getting the launch angle where you want it to be. A few too many grounders and not enough line drives. That's something that can work itself out, right? He can figure out if he just squares the ball up more. It's easy for us to say, but he can do that. So yeah, I'll buy into this.
All right. And then Rafael Juarez, last question, he promises, but if it's not your last question, it's okay. We don't mind. It doesn't have a closer. All starting pitching. Well, if it makes you feel better, I have 2 locked in closers and I don't even get saves. So whatever. I don't even our closers. Do we even need to have I'm starting to wonder, do I even need to roster a closer? Should I just not even bother rostering a closer? But anyways, he wants some closers on his team. MacArthur and Hoffman or Beeks off of waivers?
Well, this depends on what type of league you play in. So like in ours, it's a weekly head-to-head league. Even if you have 2, 3 great closers, you might get 1 or no saves throughout a week. That'll happen, right? Just depends. And you're just losing one category out of 10 or 12, it depends. So you can punt saves pretty easily in a weekly league. In a roto league, I don't like to typically punt at all because you're just putting yourself at a disadvantage already. You're saying, I'm going to get no points from this category. Okay, that means you really have to make up for it in other categories, even if you just get 3 or 4 points. But if you're saying that you don't have a closer, I'm assuming you haven't had a closer for this whole season. I don't think there's any point starting now because those guys are very iffy. Hoffman isn't even really the closer. He's just got a couple saves. Maybe he's the closer right now. Alvarado's still there. Kirkry might take over. Who knows? Beeks, I can't even guarantee he'll be closing a week from now. MacArthur I liked, but he's been roughed up lately. If you don't have any closers right now, then just don't worry about it. Just boost your other areas in your team.
It could be worse. You could have a closer like Alexis Diaz who comes in, doesn't get a save, and gets lit up and crushes your ratios as well. So
that's what I'm saying. You pick up a guy, let me get Jalen Beeks, he's getting saves. And he gets you 1 save, and then the next time out, he gets crushed. And it's okay, that didn't help your team, that 1 save. You know what I mean?
No, not helping my team at all. Actively hurting my team. All right, V-Rush 26. Who's your choice between Javier Assad, Gavin Stone, and Christian Scott in leagues where wins and loss category matters?
Ooh, good question. It's so tricky because wins, you don't like to chase wins because you never know. It's such a fluky stat, right? We already know this. So, obviously, I think the best team here is the Dodgers, right? Who's more likely to get you wins? It's Stone. Stone has gotten some wins. Christian Scott has been really good, but not necessarily getting you wins. And Assad is kind of in the middle. Now, losses are a little easier to predict because the guy also has to pitch worse early on, but also a team that tends to just blow it, right? So if you're looking at just wins and losses, I would say I feel best about Stone. But here's the tricky thing. I don't feel the best about Stone being in the rotation all year long because they're getting some pieces back there. I think right now, if you're looking at these choices, I'm just going to say I'd rather have Christian Scott. I think for this week, I'd rather have Gavin Stone. But the rest of the season, I think I might go with Christian Scott.
All right. There you go. All right, Wilson, is it time to panic on Spencer Steer, or do you think he can get back to last year's production? The Reds' offense has been kind of iffy, and his StatCast isn't great. He's not a StatCast hero, that's for sure. But yeah. Is it time to panic?
It's no, I'm not worried about Steer. The offense has definitely been iffy, but Steer's been driving in a lot of runs. He's got power, he'll steal some bases. So no, he was really hot to start the season. So I'm not too worried about him specifically. More worried about the Reds as a whole. But But no, I'm not too worried about Steer.
All right, then follow up. What about Corbin Carroll? Will he turn it around? Is he a sell low or a hold? Is there ever really a sell low?
I mean, you can, but what's the point there? No, he'll turn it around for the most part. Look, maybe he doesn't get to last year's stat line, but I think you just have to hold at this point, right? Just hold on, because if you're selling low, you're really not improving your team. Yeah, Carroll has been rough. I mean, I get it, but I think he's got to turn it around.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Another not Statcast hero so far. Requiem for a Dream. We've already answered this, or Pierre's already answered this. I'm guessing you just got here, but if you have a choice between Matos and Paz, you're taking Matos, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna take Matos. Paz has been slumping. Doesn't have a home run in the last 2 weeks. But again, with some pieces coming back, he continues to be cold. He might get sent back down. We'll see what happens. Right now, probably going to just platoon. But yeah, I'm going to go Matos right now.
Oh, how about this, Angelo? Angelo definitely. Angelo, I see your comments all, by the way, but I just try to pick up the comments that are actual questions, because I want to make sure we get to questions. But was very close to dropping Corbin Carroll this morning for Stanton. He dropped Tyler Stevenson instead. He's off tomorrow anyways.
Ooh. Yeah, don't drop Corbin Carroll. I mean, I'd rather sell low than to just drop a guy who could be a stud. I know, I get it. It's frustrating, disappointing, but come on, he's gonna do better. Yeah, don't drop him. You can bench him if you're frustrated, but don't drop a guy like this.
All right, Mr. Awaken Up has an extra bench bat that he'll need to drop for Snell when he returns on Wednesday. Would you rather drop Miguel Garcia, Arozarena, Castellanos, Soler, or Brian De La Cruz in an 18 points league? Who gets the axe?
Okay, I was a little concerned. Again, we see Arozarena. He's a guy I'm not dropping. This is the 8-team league, so yeah, you have a little more leeway here, but still, don't drop Arozarena. Don't drop Castellanos. I'm dropping Soler. He's not doing it for me. 8-team league. Goodbye. He's gone.
All right. Goodbye, Soler. Wilson also made a trade. Robert Suarez for Bobby Miller. Who won?
If Bobby Miller is, what we thought he was going to be before he got hurt. I mean, look, I wouldn't even say win or lose. If you're in a league where you need saves, Suarez has been, I don't even know. He's still leading the league in saves. He's getting so many saves. I don't know that this is a win or loss. This might be a win-win for both sides. A guy who needs saves and, somebody who needs starting pitching. So I think I would obviously prefer to have Bobby Miller between the two, but this might wind up being win-win for both teams.
All right. And I know we're coming up on the hour, and I know you got to get going here. So let's do some rapid fire. Paul Matthews. Oh, no, sorry. Not Paul Matthews. My bad. That was the wrong one. Jaden asking, is Savali droppable in a 14-team points league?
Yeah, Savale is also a guy who didn't really buy into. I get the whole Tampa effect. It's just doesn't seem to be taken this year for who knows what reason. The starting pitchers haven't been great. The bullpen has been horrible. I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, Savale doesn't do it for me.
All right, and then Wilson again. What should we do with Duran? I know you like him still. Feels like they're using a committee when they have a stud like him. What are we doing with him?
This is something else that I hate to say, got to get used to. Elite closers not getting used like closers, pitching in the 8th inning sometimes, but it doesn't mean he's been replaced. Like, yeah, it's a committee, but that means he'll still get some of the saves. He'll still wind up with 20 something saves. I know it's annoying, but when he has elite strikeout rate and great ratios, just hold on to him.
All right, Jason asking, does Cal Quantrell, Austin Gombar, or Cole Irvin have more upside than Ronel Blanco in head-to-head dynasty?
Let's just take those first two names off the list and say no. You can ignore them, safely ignore them forever and ever in dynasty. Cole Irvin is interesting. He's intriguing. Ronel Blanco, that's the weird thing. Like, what do we make of Blanco? We talked about him last week a lot, right? With the whole suspension thing. I think Irvin might have more upside than Blanco. Yes. I just don't know if Irvin's going to have a rotation spot long term. But I'd say just kind of blindly, yes, Irvin might have more upside than Blanco.
All right. And then M. Perez, what's up? Pick up Burleson or Rayleigh in a 5 outfielder league.
I'm going to go Rayleigh. I was big on Rayleigh preseason. Burleson, more of a defensive outfielder. He's a platoon guy, bad offense. So I'll go Rayleigh.
All right. And then James Coffey, you did talk about Cade Horton on Beat the Breakout. Is he the next best prospect to stash?
Yes, I did talk about him, I think, last week. I think it's going to be a little longer, but yes, he's definitely one of the best pitching prospects that might get called soon.
All right. Paul Matthews, if Manoah pitches well today, is he an ad? Will he be on the waiver wire video? No.
I always look at the transaction trends, and I'm always I kind of laughed. I was surprised people are picking him up because he's going to start. Like, what? This is called masochism. You're just asking for it. You're just asking to be punished.
No, hurt me so bad. I don't know if I could ever forgive him.
You shouldn't.
All right, we've rapid fired the end there. I know we're coming up on the hour. Uncle Ted dropping in just to say Jake Myers and Alec Burleson are on fire. Uncle Ted, where you been? I haven't seen Uncle Ted. He was here like every preseason stream. Uncle Ted.
I will say that. Look, and somebody said it earlier. I can't remember. Sorry, forgive me who it was, but look, when somebody's hot, you pick them up and you stream them, and then you drop them when they're not. That's just how it works. It can be whatever random guy, and look, if he's having a week, he's having a week. That's just how it goes. Pick them up, take advantage of them, and then as soon as you see that offer, okay, move on, pick up somebody else. Sometimes it doesn't have to be, is this player legit? Is he going to rest the season? It doesn't matter the rest of the season. The rest of the season, we're talking about October. It's only May. Like, let's get through this week. And then after this week, I told you it's a marathon, not a sprint. Get through this week. And then next week, ask again. Okay, now who do I pick up? Now, this is why we do waiver wire every single week. It's not because it's like football where they play once a week. It's because things change every single week.
All right. And we got some games going right now. But Pierre does have to go to a football game, actually. Not the NFL, of course, but a football game. So we are going to have to get out here, but thank you everybody for joining us. And let me just pull this up. Just a reminder real quick. Don't forget, there's still time. If you haven't tried it yet, to go try Underdog Fantasy. There's still some games today that still need to be played. Make sure when you do join Underdog Fantasy, if you haven't signed up yet, you use promo code Endgame when you sign up, because that's going to give you access to a special free pick. Basically, like, it's a free, you win. You make the pick, you win. Plus up to $250 in bonus cash that you can use right away to play. It's a ton of fun. You can see all the picks you have right here, all the players, all sorts of choices, everything to get your fantasy baseball fix another way. And, of course, don't forget, we got Panic Video coming tomorrow, Waiver Wire, Beat the Breakout, everything you need this week. And we will be back on Wednesday during, midweek-ish to answer your questions, get you ready for the rest of the week, to help you win those matchups or whatever leagues you're in. Appreciate each and every one of you being on with us on this early Sunday morning, answering your questions, and we will see you all back here on Wednesday.